Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, psychology today will pop up, click on that, and it will have therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Hi, kids. Okay, so announcements. All right, so the store is open, and this is a great way to support this page because I don't charge you guys for stuff here. This I do completely free and on my own. So go to chrisgodinez.com. It should be the merchant page should be up. Mercury.com should also have the merchant page up. So if you're interested in any sort of We Need to Talk merchandise, that is the place to get it. Okay. What else was I going to tell you? The cruise. There are still cabins available. We can keep getting cabins up until October, I think. And then that's the cutoff date. So there is that. The next live appearance is going to be in Reno. That is starting to sell out. So there are still some tickets available. So if you're interested in seeing me in Reno, me and Susanna, go get your tickets at eventbrite.com. So that is very cool. No, I do not do private coaching. I just happened to see that. And the reason being, guys, and this is a good point, thank you for bringing that up, is that I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Arizona. So I cannot counsel people outside of Arizona. If you are inside of Arizona, yes, you can get a hold of me, and yes, you can become a client and all that sort of good stuff. But if you are outside of Arizona, this is why I'm teaming with Susanna Quintana. She's a life coach. She can go across state lines. She can go across international lines. This is awesome. So, and she's been there, done that. She's got, you know, the experience of having been there, done that with an abusive relationship and with an abusive family. So she's why I take her along with me, because it's like, if I'm in another state and people are like, but I trust you and I know you and blah, 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 then I can be like, hello, here's Susanna, who I trust and I know, and this is who you can go see, and this is where you can connect with her. So SusannaQuintana.com. If you are interested in getting a hold of me and you live in the state of Arizona, meaning you have to be a resident, meaning you have to live here 6 months out of the year. If you're interested in getting therapy sessions with me, then you can go to my AHA counseling page and you can contact me through there. All right, I think that answered everything. Okay, where was I now? Okay, so, all right, and other things. The books are available on Amazon. So these are available on Audible, and they are available on hard copy. So you can get them both, and I read them. So I'm the narrator because I don't trust anybody else to do it. So anyway, and then I also have a young man who did the narration on this for the other characters. So he's awesome. So, all right, so there's that. All right, and in other books, Susanna Quintana's book is free on her website, SusannaQuintana.com. That is called You Are Still That Girl. It's a really great book. Get it, read it. It's awesome. Shahida Arabi. Love, love, love this book. If you have not read this book, read this book. This book is amazing. She's great. And she did like essays, you know, she like talked to like 700 people. It was awesome, and got quotes and got stories and it's a great book. Read it. It is amazing. It's Healing the Adult Children of Narcissists. Awesome. Awesome book. I love Shahida Arabi. I love the stuff she posts. If you haven't signed up for her Facebook page, you should, because she does these amazing articles every day almost, and it's just great, and I love her. So she's great. Abdul Saad is great. Kim Saeed is great. You know, it's like, look for people that you resonate with. And a lot of these people are life coaches, meaning they can do across state lines and they can do across international lines. So if you're interested, go check them out. Check them out. Check it out. So it's just that with a licensed professional counselor, I can't because of the licensure. So, and it's stupid because to me, it's kind of like, hello, what century are we living in now? Oh yes, that's right. We have the internet. We can talk to people miles away. So yeah, don't get me started. I just, yeah. Anyway, okay. So I think I covered that. Okay, so the cruise still have cabins available up until October. Doing a lecture in Orlando on the 14th of December for those that could not go to the cruise. So if you're interested in that, go to Eventbrite. I think I covered everything else. Merchandise, it's there, chrisgodinez.com or on mercury.com. So All right, now let's dive into this. This is going to be a short one today, guys. I'm only going to do this for 45 minutes because John is taking me to a baseball game and I'm very, very excited. So, all right, today is called The Dagger of the Mind. So, and it comes from a Star Trek episode. Yes, I'm a geek. And basically in that episode, there was a villain that was messing with the crew's mind and making them see things that were not really there. So Sulu is piloting the ship and trying to keep it safe. And in his mind, he sees these daggers coming at him from all directions except forward. So if he turned around, if he looked at the rear view mirror, there were daggers behind him. If he looked sideways, there were daggers coming at him this way. So for him, he had to steer the ship straight forward, being very careful not to hit any of the daggers so that the ship didn't explode. This is what I'm talking about. So when we get involved with a narcissist, and this episode is a lot for the family and the friends. It's not just for the family and the friends, it's for those of us who've been through it. So we understand WTF, you know, what the fuck is going on here? So when we are in an abusive relationship, if we have a family history of abuse or neglect, okay, it doesn't have to be active, it can be inactive, it can be passive, you know, neglect is abuse, it is. So when we have a family history of that, we've got a family of origin issue that we have not dealt with, okay, we create this illusion in our own head that we've got all these daggers pointed at us. And if we move one way or the other, we're going to get punished. We're going to get harmed. We're going to get hurt. We're going to get screamed at. We're going to get yelled at. We're going to be kept up at night. We're going to have something taken away from us that we love. Something's going to happen. So that's why I called this episode The Dagger of the Mind, because this is what goes on in every single survivor's brain when they're in the middle of the horrifically abusive relationship. And it's so confusing to family and friends because, you know, we're all sitting here on the sidelines going, but just step out of the hallway. Just go through the dagger. You'll be fine. They aren't really there. You know, we can see that they're not there, just like Captain Kirk could see that they weren't really there, but Sulu couldn't. And so Sulu was like ready to kill Captain Kirk in order to keep the ship safe, to keep going forward and not harm the crew, not harm himself, etc. That is what's happening when we are dealing with somebody who is in the middle of an abusive relationship. The family and the friends are going, but just come out of the hallway. Just come over this way. You'll be safe. You'll be okay. Come this way, right? Go to therapy. Work on the original wound. Get rid of the abuser. Go listen to your family and friends. Do healthy things. What are you doing? Right? So we're thinking that if we can just grab a hold of them and pull them through, that we can help them, that we can save them, that we can protect them, that we can keep them from harming themselves or continuing to harm themselves. What you don't understand is just like Sulu, they don't see options. They don't see a way through the daggers. We don't see a way out of the abuse. We don't see we have choices. We get stuck in that, I have no choice, 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 I have no choice. Just like Sulu did. So it's like, yeah, no, you do got choices, but we don't see it when we're in the middle of it. Why? Well, all right. Narcissists, Malignant, and malignant borderlines love to brainwash. They love to lie. They love to gaslight. And so they tell us constantly, no, you don't have a choice. You do this, I'm going to do this. You do this, I'm going to do this. You do this, I'm going to do this. I'll take this away from you. I'll make sure nobody loves you. I'll make sure da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And so we get stuck in this victim mindset of, I have no choice. I have no choice. I have no choice. Yeah, you do. You do. You do have a choice, but we don't see that when we are in the depth, in the throes, in the thrall of the addiction, because we are addicted to the abuser, not the abuse, not the abuse. I cannot stress that enough. When I hear somebody say, oh, well, you know, they go back 7 times because they like the abuse. Bull fucking shit. No, we are addicted to the abuser because the abuser does things like intermittent positive rewards to keep us hooked. Okay. They do things like rewriting history, making us question our own mind, making us question whether we are sane or not. You know, it's like they're always telling us we're crazy. They're always telling us we're wrong. They're always telling us that it's not good enough. They're always see where I'm going with this? And so then when they're nice to us, we live for that moment when they're nice to us. And that's the scary thing, is that we have so much deception going on in our brain that we don't even realize it. That half the time we are lying to ourselves because we are choosing to believe the abuser. So it's kind of like, this is going to be a tough one, but it's kind of like a child, okay, who realizes mom and dad are really not healthy for them, okay? That's a hard one to get. That's a hard one to accept. That's a hard one to look at reality and go, oh, damn, mom and or dad did not have my six. They did not have my best interest at heart. They did not want me to be okay. What the actual, right? That's a hard one for a kid to accept. So think of it this way. If we never work on this, if we don't work on the original wound, if we don't work on mom and dad, caregiver, whatever, we get involved with another abuser, little inner child us transfers all of that to the new abuser. And now the abuser is the stand-in for mom or dad or both. And so we want to defend, we want to make, right. We want to tell everybody, no, they're not abused. No, they want me to see you. Yeah, they want us to go hang out together, but yet somehow it never happens. Right? So it's like, say family and friends come and say, you never hang out with us anymore. You never do anything with us anymore. You're never willing to just, shoot the shit or whatever. And they will go, whoa, no, well, it's just because I'm busy. Oh, I'm tired. I'm really tired. I'm just tired. It's never the abuser, when in fact, it's the abuser. Now you got to understand something. Something that the target of abuse will say is, well, they've never told me I couldn't hang out with you. Okay, well, let's talk body language. Let's talk about what happens when you do hang out with them. What happens? Do they punish you? Do they take things away? Do they make you wrong? Do they keep you up? Do they scream at you? Do they rage? Oh yeah, they tell you. They tell you. Because if it was safe for you to hang out with your family and friends, you'd still be hanging out with them as much as you were before you started dating the abuser. So there are a couple of pieces I want to read to you, and we are on limited time today. So, okay. So I want to find this one piece. Hang on a second. So this was taken off of an answer and question forum on the internet. I think it was off of Quora, I think is the one. So somebody was asking, why does my family member not leave? What's keeping them there? I don't get it. All of the family and all the friends are sitting there going, hello, red flag. Hello, what are you doing? Come back to the light. What are you doing? And so this was the answer, and I thought this was very interesting because I've used the dagger analogy before with my clients, and it really resonates, and it's funny because this guy uses it as well. Okay, so his answer is, I don't have any easy answers. I never found an escape per se. Escape found me. I've led the life of your brother more than once. The hard part is getting your brother to talk about it. Because when we're in the thralls of it, we don't want to talk about it. We don't. We do somersaults to avoid talking about the abuse, and that's a mistake. I agree that you can say that so-and-so behavior was not respectful, but I doubt he's going to hear the word abuse. So when somebody points it out and goes, your partner is abusive, they're going to go, no, they're not. No, they're not. You're just saying that. You're saying that because you want me to be with you. You're just saying that because this is what the abuser has told them. So, okay. At least not at first. They may not hear the word abuse at first. It may take time. The hard part about taking the track of walking beside an abuse victim is not getting frustrated with them. Now, here's the caveat. If the target of abuse is allowing the abuser to abuse the family and friends through the target of abuse, then you have to go no contact. You do, because otherwise that abuser is going to be running your life. So that's my only caveat with that. We often see abuse victims as a world. Okay, we often see as abuse victims, I like abuse targets better, as a world without choices. So this is truly how we look at it when we are in the middle of it. This is why when I was 16, I wanted to kill myself because I couldn't see a fucking way out. But it's not true. There's always a way out. Okay, so while you are talking to us, you may not understand our decisions. We see daggers, knives, swords, just like Sulu, in every direction, behind, by the sides, except for forward. All we can do is walk forward carefully and quietly and try to not draw too much attention to ourselves. We are trying to not nick ourselves on the dangers we see in every direction. You will have the urge to pull. You care about your brother. It's natural. The problem is that if you were staring down a path of knives and your brother tried to pull you, you'd panic. And this is why targets of abuse panic when family and friends try to pull them out of it. So will he. So while you have the urge to try to pull your brother out of the situation, that's how families separate over abuse. So in other words, the target of abuse freaks out. The abuser latches onto that. Oh, well, you know, your family, your friends, da 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 da. And that looks like it's the only, that forward looks like it's the only safe avenue. And that's when families start getting torn apart by an abuser. Okay, you don't want to know that. I know it's counterintuitive. It is counterintuitive because you would think that if you tried to pull somebody to safety, like a drowning victim, that you could help them. But in this case, daggers of the mind, daggers of the mind, daggers of the mind. You could set up a time to be with your brother regularly, and as part of that time, offer to give up a portion of your time for therapy if he so desires. That way, the two of you will have a reason to get out of the house and spend some time with each other, and he has time for therapy. Now, here's the problem. When therapy is offered to a target of abuse, they will run back and tell their abuser, and their abuser will say, absolutely not. I don't want you going to therapy with them anymore. I don't want you to go in therapy with them, period. I don't even want you going to the movies with them. Blah, 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 blah. So you got to be careful. I mean, it's worth a shot, but guarantee you what's probably going to happen is that the abuser is going to put a stop to it. And the abuser will eventually put a stop to you guys going to the movies too, because they don't want you spending time with somebody who's sane. Because the more time you spend away from the abuser, the more you comes back. So think of it. So if you've got an abuser, let's say you've got an overt narcissist, right? They don't give a flying rat's ass about anything. They're gone all the time. They're living their life. They're spending your money. They've got hobbies and stuff outside and they're never around. Well, that gives you the space to start healing. If you're with a covert narcissist and they are with you 24/7 and you cannot get away from them, you will never have the space to recognize the abuse so that you can heal. So that's why some people, when they've got an overt narcissist and the overt narcissist is just, you know, out doing their thing, this person has the ability to go, oh, this is not normal behavior. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, I'm spending better time with my family now when she or he is gone, you know, as opposed to a covert narcissist that sits there and manipulates and poisons and does all this stuff and is with them 24/7 because the fog, the fear, the obligation, and the guilt is just 24/7. When you get away from the abuser, then you can lift the fog, the fear, the obligation, and the guilt. Okay, you will notice that I recommend a path for your brother with choices. Most of us as victims of abuse don't feel we have any choices. It will be strange at first seeing the choices offered to your brother. He'll think it's weird. He may turn down many. In other words, the therapy, going to the movies, going out to dinner, you know, he'll just keep saying no, 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 no. Why? Because he's afraid of offending the abuser. Knives, 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 knives. Okay. You're not after an instant win. This will take time and patience. The point is to show him through your actions that life does still have choices. Okay, another thing I would recommend is that you Google domestic violence escape plans. They are mostly geared for women, but it's easy to adjust the list for gender. And any specifics you know about your brother. Keep one handy for your brother where you always know it is and where she will never find it if she visits. If after you teach your brother that the world still has choices, you get that call for help, that's when you'll truly be needed. And that's the hard part. So, you know, it's like if the abuser has just been like, no, you can't be with that person. No, you can't see that person. No, you can't do this. No, 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 no. It's unlikely they're going to come over to visit. But if they do, you make sure that safety plan is somewhere safe where they're not going to look. And you know what? Miracles do occur. And if the target of abuse does leave the abuser and they reach out for help, you fucking take their hand. You fucking take their hand. You do it. You know, and you get them into therapy and you get them talking and you get them realizing that this person was abusive. Okay, I've never found a way out of an abusive relationship. This is the person writing. My brother was one of my many abusers growing up. Abuse is most of the life that I've known or lived. I've learned to endure the abusive relationships to my death. And if death turns aside, then so be it. So too will my direction in life. But that really isn't an escape I recommend for your brother. So in other words, a lot of abuse victims, targets, resign themselves. Oh, it's just the way it's going to be. Oh, it is what it is. Well, I've made this decision and I need to be noble and I've promised this person I'm going to stick with them. They get this skewed sense of nobility. So they give their loyalty, their fidelity to a person who doesn't give two flying rats asses about them. And yet the family and the friends that are like, dude or dudette, what the fuck? What are you doing? We love you. What are you doing? You know, they basically give the finger out and, you know, keep going towards death. Who does that? We do. We do that. We do that when we're in the middle of the fog and we can't get away from the abuser. I wish you and your brother well. May he find a happier path than I. So that was on Quora. That was a really good article. So we are coming up on questions. So if you've got your questions, start asking them, or if you haven't already been asking them, ask them. Quickly, though, I want to read one more thing before we dive into questions. The questions are going to be a little bit short today. 11 signs that you are a narcissist's worst nightmare. So people ask me, what makes you bulletproof from a narcissist? I do 2 words: self-esteem. Self-esteem. There is a reason I keep pushing the self-esteem workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. There is a reason I keep pushing The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. You have got to get your self-esteem up and running. You've got to have those boundaries in place. You've got to be willing to say no and mean it. So 11 ways that you make yourself bulletproof from an abuser. You use the pain that they gave you as fuel to create your greatest victory. Whatever adversity you went through due to this person, you've used it as a platform to rise higher and become bolder than you've ever been. Time and time again, you will channel the toxicity of their actions into your success. Everything you learned from this relationship has been used to rebuild your life and redesign yourself and your full power, okay? Number 2, you know how to self-validate. Narcissists love making their victims dependent upon them for the validation and approval. When a victim is able to self-validate and knows deep inside how beautiful, successful, talented, kind, wonderful, worthy they are, it is unnerving to a narcissist and they will start leaving you alone. This is why when people are like, oh, I'm a narcissist magnet. Well, if you have these things going, you won't be. You don't wait for answers. You give yourself closure. So a lot of targets of abuse wait for closure. They're like, but I need to know, but I need to know. So rather than pine for the narcissist to acknowledge anything that you had together, you give yourself closure and leave your toxic partner and in the dust. And this means no matter what they put you through, you walk away, you hold your head high, and you keep going and live your best life. You get rid of self-doubt. You work on the self-esteem. You get rid of their toxicity and their nastiness, and you recognize this is them, not me. You have support and you know how to support yourself. So you learn to say, help me. You learn to reach out and go, I need support. Hey, can you listen to me for 10 minutes? I need to vent. Hey, I had this thought today that I really wanted to call my ex. Can you talk me off the ledge? You turn to your support and you know how to support yourself. That means you do the mirror work. You do the whole, hey, hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I love you, or I like you, or guess what? You're okay. You do that consistently. You're independent financially, emotionally, mentally, or socially, all of the above. You do not depend on your abuser for any of this. You pick up on manipulative and exploitive intent and you make it clear that you will not tolerate it. Again, this is boundaries. This is The Disease to Please. This is Codependent No More. This is Beyond Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie, those 2 last books. So you pick up on manipulative stuff. So that means you do need to read all of the books on borderline, on narcissism, on manipulation, who's pulling your strings, Harriet Breaker, great book. So you want to read those and recognize it so that when you see it coming, you can be like, oh, no, you all just stop right there. Nope, no. So that's why you want to do that. You're resilient as hell. Look at how far you have come. Look at all that you have endured. You're amazing. You're amazing. You are amazing. All of the lies that your abuser told you are just exactly that. Bullshit lies, okay? You are amazing. Amazing. And don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Do the mirror work. You can manifest amazing things in your life. When you put your mind to something, it will happen. So when I started this venture, one of the things I told Chris, my manager, was I want to travel, I want to do books, and I want to have fun. So guess what I'm doing? I'm traveling. I've written books. I'm writing another 2. And I'm having a blast doing this. So yeah, know your worth. so that you're always receptive to something better. Know your worth. What makes you you? What makes you amazing? What makes you amazing? And that's the one thing that breaks my heart when I deal with survivors is they do not know what makes them amazing. So there is that. You speak your mind and you are a badass about following through with your boundaries. If somebody crosses a boundary, be done. Be done. Have your list of deal breakers. What will you not put up with? You can reframe just about anything to your highest good and greater good. So the thing that people do, and this is Shahida Arabi, once again, freaking love this woman. So once again, what we tend to do is we start mirroring our abuser's negativity. We start mirroring our abuser's doom and gloom. We start mirroring our abusers, oh, you know, that won't work. Oh, that won't work. Oh, why, you know, nothing's good. Nothing's enough. Nothing's. And so that's not cool, man. And that's how we get sucked into their bullshit is because we keep trying to make it better. So you've got to be able to reframe anything. And if somebody doesn't want to hear the reframe, guess what? They are a negative Nelly. You need to get them out of your life. So there is that. This is by Shahida Arabi. It is on, she's written another book called Surviving and Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse. And she's written a poetry book, She Who Destroys the Light. She's a staff writer at Thought Catalog. So this is on Thought Catalog. Go read it. Okay, I'm off that rant now. Okay, so we got questions. Okay, and we've got a short amount of time. Okay, if you could get a narcissistic NPD person into therapy, could they be healed from their trauma? No, it's not about trauma, guys. It's not about trauma. So in the beginning, I was reading articles that said, oh, it's like borderline, it's about trauma. No, the more research that is being done, the more they are realizing this is not about trauma. If it was about trauma, then they would get into a good trauma therapist, a good DBT therapist, an EMDR therapist, or whatever, and their behavior would change completely. They would start being somewhat normal. What is happening is that they do not have empathy. You cannot teach that. That is either there or it is not. You either feel or you don't. It's pretty much that simple. So nature, nurture, I'm going with nature. There you go. If you get a person into therapy, they will go 1, maybe 2 times, possibly 3. And then when the narcissist realizes that the therapist is going, what's your part in this? How are you doing? How are you creating this? What are you doing to contribute to this situation? Their ego is going to fly to the forefront, all claws bared, and they're going to go, oh, the narcissist, you know, I'm not a narcissist. This therapist is full of shit. They're incompetent. They're stupid. They're and they'll quit therapy. They never last. The only time I've ever seen a narcissist stay in therapy is if they've got a therapist that they've got bam fucking boozled, okay? And then they start telling their target of abuse, well, they say I'm not a narcissist. They say I'm not an abuser. Really? Yeah. So that's the only time I've ever seen a narcissist stay in therapy is if they have a therapist that's truly not competent. See, this is the funny thing. Competent therapists will call them on their shit. Competent therapists will call it as they see it. Incompetent therapists will do the humanistic thing and be like, oh, poor baby, we can fix you. No, wrong. Incorrect response. Get off the island. Yeah, no, you cannot fix a narcissist. Once they have 5 traits or more, they are sliding to malignancy already. Trust me on that one. And they won't stay. They won't stay. And it's not about trauma. It is not about trauma. But you know what they love to tell their targets of abuse? I had a horrible childhood, and that's why I act the way I do. Excuse me. They may have had a horrible childhood, but let me tell you something, motherfucker. I did too, and you don't see me treating people like that. So I'm calling bullshit. Okay? All right, so there is that. My narcissist has left. Yes! I am not missing him or wanting to reconnect, but I am extremely angry with myself. Is this normal? Yes. So here's the deal. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Get it, read it, love it, do it. In chapter 3, they have a section on putting the anger back towards the appropriate person. So remember, Hall of Daggers, Hall of Daggers, Hall of Daggers, Hall of Daggers. Perfectly okay for us to throw ourselves into the daggers, but we can't call out the abuser. We can't be mad at the abuser. How many times has the abuser said, don't you be mad at me, I'll give you something to be mad about? What? Or don't you dare be mad at me. Or they'll flip it around and go like, well, you're the ba 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 ba. Yeah, I had to wake you up and scream at you because you made me. How many times have they done that? How many times have they screamed at you that it wasn't enough? How many times have they abused you and, said, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. So what we learn to do is we learn to internalize and we take on all of this anger that really belongs to the abuser. Now, there is going to be a small amount of anger towards ourselves, and this is where the self-forgiveness comes in, because we go, oh my God, how could I have allowed this to happen? Or how could I have allowed this to go on for so many years? Well, it's happened because of the original trauma and that this did not get handled. So forgive yourself. If you didn't know about the original trauma, if you weren't aware that this wasn't normal, if you weren't aware that you had been groomed for all this, how could you know to get rid of it? It's like throwing a 5-year-old out in the middle of Iceland and saying, speak Icelandish. It's not going to happen. Gentle with you. You did not know what you did not know. Now you know what you know, and now you can make different choices. It's all about choices, okay? So you got to be gentle with you. So that is normal, having the anger a little bit towards ourselves, but you got to forgive yourself. And you got to put the majority of the anger back on the asshole or assholette abuser that abused you. There it is. Question, is regression a normal part of therapy for personality disorders and OCD? It can be, yes. So hang on, half a tick, got to drink some water. Okay, so regression, meaning you go backwards, okay? You regress to a younger age, you regress, in your movement forward, things are not going so good. So in personality disorders, yeah, if you are dealing with borderline or histrionic, those are born of trauma, okay? If you are dealing with antisocial personality disorder or narcissism, no, that is nature. There is a lack of empathy going on there. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, that is also born of trauma. Hoarding is born of trauma. So yes, regression can be a part of that therapy because we're dealing with and coping with and confronting stuff that is very scary. So when I'm dealing with my clients and they're talking and they're getting upset or whatever, the first question I ask them, when I mean upset, I mean crying or, raging angry, that kind of thing. I go, whoa, how old are you? How old do you feel right now? And 9 times out of 10, I feel like I'm 2 years old. I'm scared to death. I'm out of control. Okay, we got to deal with the inner child and we got to deal with the trauma. We got to make sure you're safe. So yes, that is a normal part of therapy. It can be, absolutely. It doesn't happen in every case, but it happens a lot. So yeah, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. This can be a normal part of therapy, especially when dealing with personality disorders, especially when dealing with borderline and especially, or histrionic and obsessive compulsive disorder, because those are all born of trauma. You betcha. I have gone no contact with my toxic mother, but my ex-spouse brings my son to her house. What is in your custody agreement? If you've got a custody agreement where you can declare who goes where, I would revisit that. If you do not, you may want to go back to court. I hate to say it, but if your mother is toxic and she's abusive and your ex is bringing her to the house, then I would definitely revisit the custody, So, yeah. So definitely. I was watching a movie yesterday. It was called The Art of Racing in the Rain. If you have not seen it, go to Costco and buy the entire pallet of Kleenexes because you will ugly cry through that entire movie. But part of the movie had the grandparents doing a grandparent custody thing. They were trying to take custody from the dad. And it was like, watching it, it's like, poor Lynn, she was just like, pat, 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 it'll be okay, breathe, it'll be okay. Because it's like, as this was going on, I was like, this is too much like work, oh my God. Because yeah, that grandparents can sue for custody, they can. But there are rules around that. And if you do not want your child around your parents, you have the right to say that's not happening even on your time. So you may need to revisit that with a lawyer. I would go speak with a good family attorney and see what you can find. Because yeah, you don't have to put up with that. Now, in the state of Arizona, the only time that grandparents can sue for custody is if you have been divorced for, I think it's 3 to 6 months or more, and if you you're divorced for 3 to 6 months or more, or you're a single parent for 3 months or more. Arizona is really weird. But usually 9 times out of 10, the lawyers, the judges don't go with the grandparents, because if the parent is, not abusive, not neglectful, is caring for the needs of the child and has a legitimate concern of the child being with that grandparent, then they usually don't go for the grandparent. In some cases they do, but usually they don't. Okay. All right. Okay. How should I go about talking to my child about the situation? It depends on how old your child is. And you need to make it age appropriate. Okay. You don't want to say anything that the ex can go back to court and say, oh, she's, trying to take time away from me or whatever. What you should have in your custody agreement is right of first refusal. So in other words, at least in Arizona, if there is any reason why the other parent cannot watch the child for any reason, then they must call you first to take the child so that you watch them instead of them. Right of first refusal. So ask your attorney about that. How should you go about talking to your child about the situation? Depends on their age. If they are young, it might be hard for them to understand, but you wait until you get things settled, and then you can talk to them about why they're not going over to see grandma anymore. Okay. Okay. Question. Where am I? Oh dear God, where did I go? After leaving my narcissist husband 6 years ago, he found another woman and is still with her 4 years later. I'm starting to think that maybe I was the problem. What do I do? Okay. So here's the thing, guys. Narcissists don't always abandon a situation if the supply is good. Okay, so they may get with somebody else and they may stay with them because the supply is awesome. They're eating them up for breakfast every single morning, or they're both narcissists, or they're stuck in this situation and they're just not going to leave, either one. So you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. The only reason you would be a problem is if you're still having problems having relationships. If you cannot maintain a relationship, if you have no friends, if your family's not speaking to you, if people have told you that you're a problem, then you're a problem. If you don't have any of those issues going on, don't worry about it. Who cares what they're doing? Who cares what they're doing? And narcissists stay when the supply is good. So they don't leave a good supply. If the supply is just supplying them, stroking their ego, doing whatever, then yeah, they'll stick around. If it's particularly contentious, yeah, they love it. They'll stick around. So just, you don't know, you don't care. Don't let it go. Let it go, babies. Let it go. And if you're concerned about your behavior, go to a good therapist. Seriously, go to a good therapist, work on whatever it is you think is wrong with you. But I don't think there is. And I think the only thing that is going on is that you're ruminating and you're still focused on what they're doing. Who cares? Live your life. The best revenge is to live well. Go live well. All right. I just moved back into my parents' house so I could finish an accelerated nursing program. Oh my goodness. Where did this go? My dad is very manipulative and abusive. How do I cope with it for the year I have to be here? You be gone. You just be gone. You be gone. It's like, honest to God, if I were you, I wouldn't stay there. I would find a situation. I would find something else. I would find a roommate situation. I would find somebody that you could couch surf. Don't be there. That's the answer to that. If you have to, because you're saving money, I can guarantee you it's not going to be worth the money you save, because you're going to need to be gone all the time. So if he's very manipulative and abusive, find a different situation. Talk to other people in the program. See if there is a roommate situation you can do, or if you can do house sitting so that when people are on vacation, you get a break and you get out and you're staying somewhere else, or dog sitting, house dog sitting, that type of thing. You don't want to be there. It's not going to be worth it. I've yet to see anybody who has to move back in that can stay. So it's important to get out. Get out. If you can, do it. If you can't, then you're going to have to be gone a lot. Like you just, when they're up, you be gone. Don't even be around. Don't give them an excuse. Just don't. So there that is. And get with a therapist, because you're going to need it. You're going to need support. And I would strongly suggest that you get out. Okay. you say borderline is born of trauma. Could the trauma be as simple as parents separating, or does it have to be traumatic like physical or sexual abuse? No, it could be any trauma. So separating parents is very traumatic to a child. Don't undersell that. Seriously. So when parents separate, and if the parents do not handle it correctly, the child is going to be left with a huge amount of fear. Because it's like, and this is what I tell my couples when it looks like they're heading for divorce. It's like, you put those children first. You must put those children first. You must make sure that they are safe. So you want to talk to the kids about it. You want to make sure that they understand, hey, we love you. You are safe. You will be cared for. We will both be here for you. It's just dad and I, or mom and I, just can't live together, but we love you and you're okay. If that's not handled like that, the kid is going to fill in the blanks and make it about them, that it was their fault, that they're wrong, that they said something, or they did something, or they didn't say something, or they didn't do something, or they should have done something. So it's really important to talk to kids if you're choosing to separate or if you're choosing to divorce. Yes, that can be very traumatic to a child, especially if it's not handled correctly. You bet. My ex and I work together. He is manipulating everyone at work into believing that he is the nice guy and I'm the crazy one. What do I do? That is called the smear campaign. I've done videos on that. What you want to do is you want to stay above it. You do not engage. You do not defend yourself. You do not. You just don't. Because the more you try to defend yourself, the crazier you're going to sound. So basically, you just kind of roll your eyes and go, yeah, well, he's entitled to his opinion, and you go along. And if people are going to believe him, they're going to believe him, So eventually, though, they can't keep up the nice guy act, and especially if you're not responding. If they're not getting what they want, they up the ante, and then pretty soon it becomes pretty apparent how cray-cray they are. So there that is. Okay, in the last 2 years, I have been working for bosses that bully. I am preparing to leave my current job, but I'm worried I will land another job with a bad boss. What am I doing wrong or missing? Okay, so here's the problem with corporate America. Well, shit, that would take another 45 minutes. God damn it. Okay, so here is the problem in a nutshell with corporate America. There are a lot of bullies out there. There are a lot of narcissists in positions of power. You could move to a job and it starts off great, and then suddenly that CEO decides to retire, and then the next one comes in and is a bully. You have very little control over that. All you can do is figure out what is going on. Look at glassdoor.com, look at Indeed. They have reviews of places, see what other people say. If there are red flags, don't apply. If there are no red flags and you apply and then you get there and then the good boss leaves and a bully comes in, well, that's corporate America. Unfortunately, there's a reason I am in private practice. I did not enjoy corporate America, and I did not enjoy working for agencies because I found a lot of their practices to be unethical, quite frankly. So so it's going to happen. You need to figure out, though, if you're interviewing and it feels familiar, like in a bad way, don't go for that job. Don't go for that job. Okay, we are coming up on the 42. I am running out of time. I hope that this was helpful. So to recap, and then I want to talk about a few more things before I leave. To recap, when we are in the middle of abuse, we feel like we're in a hallway of daggers. We feel like we're that, dagger of the mind, just like Sulu in that episode of Star Trek, the original series. So it's like we feel like we can't move out of it and that there are no choices. So if you know somebody that's in an abusive relationship, keep offering them choices. Keep offering them choices. Keep reminding them there are choices, even though they're sitting there going, no, I have to go down this hallway. I have to go down this. The ship's going to implode. No, I have to go. No, there are choices, sweetie. There are choices. What you're seeing is not real. It's an illusion. And that's really what it turned out to be in that episode. It was an illusion that was created by an alien. So, which really good analogy for abusers. So there is that. All right. So please share these videos with as many people as you possibly can. If you find them helpful, they will help other targets of abuse. Please share the crap out of these videos. My Facebook page, I'm putting all of the books up there that I recommend all the time. Apparently the link was broken to that, so hopefully the admins are on that. I told them about that, so they're going to get on that. Okay. Cruise is still available. Reno is still on, but the tickets are selling out. So if you want to go to Reno, get onto Eventbrite and do that. Merchandise is available on mercury.com or chrisgodinas.com. Okay, kids, Go have a wonderful day. I'm going to go to the baseball game. Have a great day and take care of yourselves and be good to yourselves. Do self-care. Don't make me come in that room. All right. I will talk to you later. Bye.